Kelsey. This is my channel, The Fancy Hat Lady Reads. I'm wearing one of my fancy booktube hats. And today I'm bringing you a book haul that covers the books that I purchased from the end of August through September. My last book haul went up, I think, around mid-August, so there were some books that happened at the end of that month, and then also September. So here we go. I'm going to start with a book outlet order that contained several books I've already read that I got from the library and also some new things. So the books that I have already read that I now own are Fairest and Stars Above. This is the prequel, and this is the collection of short stories that accompany the Lunar Chronicles series. I read these when they came out from the library, but because they're sort of supplemental materials to the series, I thought I didn't need to own them unless I found super bargains like Book Outlet. So when they showed up on Book Outlet, I took the opportunity to complete out my collection of this series. The other one that I got on Book Outlet with this order that I have already read is All the Birds in the Sky by Charlie Jane Anders. I will link for you the wrap-up where I talked about this. This is a combination of near-future sci-fi and fantasy that follows a computer genius and a witch. It's told in a fun, quirky, offbeat style, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah, so there's this one. Then there were a few books that I haven't read in that Book Outlet order. This is A Hero for WondLa by DiTerlizzi. This is the second book in the WondLa trilogy. I read the first book, The Search for WondLa, a few months ago. I'll link that wrap-up where I talked about that as well. I have a few personal trepidations about where this series might be going, but I definitely enjoyed the first book enough that I'm willing to give it a shot. This is middle grade sci-fi with really great artwork because the author is also an illustrator. Is there a good one near the beginning? Here's a good one, and each of the books in the series has like a different color tone. The next book I got was The Dark Lord of Derkholm by Diana Wynne Jones. Interestingly, I think in most editions this book is called just Dark Lord of Derkholm, but this edition is definitely The Dark Lord of Derkholm. I don't know, this looks like comedic fantasy, sort of poking fun at fantasy world adventures. I mentioned in a previous book haul that I wanted to read some of Jones's books that I didn't read when I was younger. I only read a couple of her books when I was a kid. And this was the one that I had in mind, and the book that I bought in that book haul was not one I had in mind. But this was the one that I've been most curious about of all of her books that I haven't read before. And then the last thing I have here is sort of a book I have read before and sort of not. And it is the 150th anniversary deluxe edition of the Annotated Alice. I tried to reread Alice in Wonderland a year or two ago. I really liked the books when I was a kid, as well as the Disney movie. I also read the books, both Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass, and I did really enjoy them, but I understood them like at a child's understanding level of those texts. And this time I really wanted to understand them on sort of an adult literary level, and I discovered as I was reading that I was just unable to do that because I needed more like supplemental information. I feel like there are lots of references to things that I'm just not getting as a modern American reader. And then one day I saw this beautiful Deluxo annotated monstrosity in Barnes & Noble, and I thought, oh my goodness, I must have it. And then my second thought was, oh my goodness, look at the price, because the list price on this is like $40. So I was very glad to be able to get a bargain on this. This is a scratch and dent copy, and I got it for like a fraction of the list price. And now I can fully understand Alice on the literary level that I want to. This book is stunning. It has illustrations for the books from a whole bunch of different artists. It has annotations throughout the text on everything. It has introductory essays. This is going to be great. And then, as you may know, I cannot resist the lure of used bargain books. I have two books that I got for $1 each from used bookstores. The first is A Sudden Light by Garth Stein. This is the same author who wrote The Art of Racing in the Rain, which is a book that I read when I was in college and really liked. So I had been thinking ever since this book came out a while ago that I might want to eventually pick it up, and now I have a copy and I got it for $1. The other $1 book that I got is the next chapter in the saga of Kelsey acquires all of the Charles Lint books and doesn't have time to read any of them. This is Forests of the Heart, and I don't know much about it except that it's another one of the Newford books. I've read like one of the Newford short stories and I absolutely adored it, so I'm hoarding the books and I haven't read any of them yet because I do keep finding them for bargain prices. So there's this one. The Newford books are like a lyrical, mythic, urban fantasy series that takes place in this small fictional town called Newford, and there isn't, for the most part, a reading order to the books and stories that take place within this town. I then have just a few used books that I got that were more than $1, gasp. The first is an audiobook on CD, and that is The Lake House by Kate Morton. I have started listening to this. I've only listened to like the first disc, and there are 18 discs, so I'm really liking the narrator so far. It's read by Caroline Lee, but so far that's all I have to say about this. This is Kate Morton's newest novel. She's one of my mom's favorite authors, so this is an author where I've kind of kept hoarding her books and haven't gotten around to reading them, but because this is an audiobook and I didn't have an audiobook going, I thought I would start listening to this right away. Then there are 4 books that I got at a used bookstore when I was able to get multiple discounts at once on top of the used bookstore price, and that was just a bargain and a half. And used with multiple discounts on the used price, I was able to get the full box set of the Mistborn trilogy. This is epic fantasy by Brandon Sanderson, very, very popular on BookTube. I haven't read any of his books yet, but I would kind of like to get on the hype bandwagon for this because of all of the big epic fantasy series that are really popular on BookTube right now. This is one of the ones that intrigues me the most. I am going to start Brandon Sanderson with Warbreaker, which is a standalone that is closer to the top of my TBR right now, and I have a copy that I got for $1. But these are mass market paperbacks in great condition. I actually really like mass market paperbacks, especially for longer, bigger books like these are, because they are physically compact, and I do like to save space. So someday I will be able to get around to reading these books. And then the last book I have here is another one that I got with the same double discounts at the used bookstore. And that is A Green and Ancient Light by Frederic S. Durbin. This is a new release fantasy novel, and I'm very interested in it because in the front cover it says that it's in the spirit of Peter S. Beagle and Patricia McKillop, and those are 2 authors I really, really like. I believe this is a debut novel. I think it takes place in a fantasy world at a time that resembles World War II, and this might really end up being my type of gentle, small-scale, standalone fantasy. So this was a new release I'd had my eyes on for a while, and so when it showed up used and I could get it with all the discounts, I leapt for it. So that is all for my little book haul for today. I hope you are having a good October. I will be back soon with more videos. If you've read any of these books, let me know. If any of these books interest you, let me know. That is all. Bye for now.